In his box is the newest of the TidRadio Does Everything line of radios, the TidRadio TD-H9. So in this video, I will go over what this radio can do. And because based on the comments that I get on all of my videos, it has become abundantly clear that most of you barely have the attention span of a butterfly, I promise to keep this video short and not waste any of your very precious and valuable time. The cost for the TidRadio TD-H9 is, as of today, about $76 of monies, and for your clicking and purchasing pleasures, I will put an affiliate link in the information section of this video that, when clicked, will allow you to purchase this radio or get more information about it in the unlikely event that I leave out some critical detail. And yes, my friends at the TidRadio Corporation did send me this radio at no cost to myself so that I could share it with you. Not him, not that stupid-looking guy, not her. You. The TD-H9 comes with a user manual, a belt clip, a USB-C's charging brick, a USB-C's cable used for both charging and programming, a battery that holds 2400 milliamps, 2 antennas, and this very handsome jerk strap. I would like to take an extra moment to point out that the user manual employs a large, easy-to-read font, and it is very well written in near-perfect English, and it even has color pictures, making this user manual pretty much idiot-proof. So if you still can't figure it out after looking at all the pictures, you probably should get a new hobby. The stock antenna is a dual-band 2-meter and 70 cm antenna, whilst the larger one looks like a Nagoya, but it says TidRadio, and it is tuned for GMRS only according to the specifications. On the top of the radio, you will find an on-off and volume control knob, an LED transmit and receive indicator, which can also be programmed to pulse or flash every few seconds as an indicator that the radio is powered on, a programmable orange button, and a standard SMA antenna hole. On the side, you will find a large push-to-talk trigger that is ribbed for your pushing pleasure, and 2 programmable buttons, each of which can be programmed to do different things for both a long press and a short press. On this side and behind this door, you will find a standard K1 connector for a programming cable or connecting to accessories. And behind this door, you will find a standard USB-C's hole for charging the battery and for programming. On the front, you will find a screen, a speaker, a microphone hole, and a good variety of control buttons.
Welcome.
When you turn the radio on, you are greeted with a very nice welcome tone and the very sexy voice of the TidRadio lady.
Welcome.
And right out of the box, one of the things that differentiates this radio from all of the lesser cheap Chinese radios is all of the different frequencies that this radio can listen to. Indeed, it is a fact that this radio can receive commercial FM radio, AM hairband, NOAA weather channels, 136 to 174 MHz, 220 to 259 MHz, 300 to 390 MHz, and 400 to 590 MHz. This is a GMRS radio, so right out of the box, just like with all FCC's Part 95E GMRS radios, it has all 22 channels and the 8 standard repeater channels pre-programmed and ready to use. And it is locked to transmitting on only GMRS frequencies. However, with the right move known by us radio experts as finger banging, by doing the move in just the right way, you can take this radio all the way, right to the edge. You can make it scream at the very climax of radio performance and unlock all of its full toe-curling potential. To do the move and get into what us radio experts To do the move and to get it into hamboner mode, as us radio experts call it, simply turn off the radio, press and hold the push-to-talk trigger and the star key at the same time. I should point out that if you have trouble getting started with this move, some people have reported better luck if they lick their fingers first. Others have had great success with a pinch at the end, whilst I prefer finishing with a swirl. But whatever you do, do not try the knuckle. That's just a lot of fancy schmancy stuff. It's like a big budget movie with a story that goes nowhere. Anyway, to finish the move, you then power the radio on, and when prompted, select number 2 for normal. And then confirm, and the radio will now be in unlocked hamboner mode. Whilst in hamboner mode, the radio will be able to transmit on GMRS frequencies, ham frequencies, and LMR and private business frequencies, and it will allow the radio to take advantage of all of the advanced non-GMRS features, of which I will discuss more momentarily. And the radio will stay in the unlocked hamboner mode even if you turn the radio on and off. So if you start to feel the heat and you fear the FCCs are tracking you down for using an unlocked radio or for transmitting on ham's radio's frequencies without a license, you can easily destroy the evidence by employing the move again and switching back to GMRS-only mode. But bear in mind, when fingering this radio to switch modes, you will lose any custom programming or settings. I should also point out that even though the radio is now unlocked and in hamboner mode, it cannot transmit on all frequencies. As previously mentioned, this radio will transmit on GMRS, hams radios, and LMR or private business frequencies, but if you try to transmit, for example, on hairband, the sexy TidRadio lady will just whisper, "Cancel," in your ear with her hot, sultry voice. Cancel. And because this is very clearly a radio that is made for radio dorks, I should mention and point out that this is not a superheterodyne type radio. This is a direct conversion type radio, also known as a homodyne type radio. Not that there's anything wrong with that. As you can see with your very own ocular sauce balls, the radio has a 1.7... I almost forgot. The radio has a large 1.7-inch screen, which does surprisingly well in bright, direct sunlight. It has an adjustable screen brightness and 3 screen layouts to choose from: Dual, Classic, and Simpleton. And when in Classic layout view, the radio shows a very nice receive meter and an RSSI value. You can customize the color of the menu, and you can set the screen to display the frequency and the channel number, or the channel name and channel number. And if you're in the dual or classic mode view, you can set each line separately and independently. The radio has a dual watch function, so it can listen to 2 channels at the same time. But if you are an easily confuculated person, such as myself, you can disable that in the menus. The radio also has a very fancy speculum analyzer screen that will no doubt fill the radio dorks' hearts with lust. And you sharp-eyed viewers may have noticed way back when I first turned the radio on that you can customize the startup screen with a personal message for your friends or your YouTube channel viewers. You can also set the startup screen as an image or have it display the battery voltage, but sadly you cannot adjust the duration of the startup screen. The radio has an adjustable microphone gain, something that most handheld HT walkie-talkie radios do not have, and it also has a wireless copy or cloning feature that is also compatible with the TD-H3 radio, so that you can clone all of the settings from one radio to another TD-H3 or TD-H9 wirelessly through the ether. The radio has a built-in GPS and a compass, and the radio is fully APRS compatible for full-time location tracking. And the radio can send SMS messages via APRS or directly over the air, radio to other TD-H9 radios or TD-H3 radios. And by the way, just to reduce any potential confucularity, SMS means short message service, and that term is not exclusive to mobile phones. In other words, you can only send these SMS messages to other TID radios. You cannot send a message to your mom on her mobile phone to let her know that you won't be home until after dark. The radio has several other features that I don't really care about, but I'm sure that many of the military-grade autistic radio dorks will, and because I am a kind and loving GMRS queen, I guess I'll mention them. The radio has a repeater talk-around option, regular channel scanning, scanning between a range of frequencies, tone scanning, frequency hopping, a separate AM band volume control, and a voice scrambler function. Not encryption, scrambling. They are not the same. And the radio is firmware updatable. That means that you can update the firmware. But above all else, and most important, this radio does have a Roger beep. And it sounds like this. But wait, there's more. This radio also has a second configurable Roger beep, and it sounds like this. But wait, there's even more. This radio also has built-in multifunction Bluetooth. So you can use a wireless Bluetooth headset with the radio, and you can turn the speaker and microphone on and off independently when using a Bluetooth headset. You can also adjust the microphone gain for your Bluetooth microphone independent of the internal microphone gain, and you can make calls through your cell phone from the radio. You can even use the radio as a Bluetooth speaker so you can listen to your music through it, although I cannot imagine why anyone would ever want to do this. If this is something you want to do, please leave a comment and explain yourself. You can download the free programming software from the TidRadio website and program the radio the old-fashioned way with a cable. But why on earth would you do that when you can program the radio wirelessly through the Bluetooth using the OD Master app on your phone? And contrary to internet rage posts that you may have seen, you do not need to create a login or give them any information to use the app. Just hit the skip button at the login screen. So you just fire up the app, read all the words on the screen telling you what to do, then download from the radio into the app and start messing things up. Or even better, you can program the radio wirelessly via the Bluetooth in the browser on your big boy computer, which is very slick. You will have to use the Chrome browser, but once signed in, you can do everything that you can do in the phone app, but with the luxury of a larger screen and a real keyboard. The box says that this radio outputs up to 10 watts of RF electricities, which I should point out does not necessarily mean more FARs, and most people will never notice any difference between 5 or 6 watts and 10 watts, and this is because most of the time, usually on average, generally speaking, your surrounding geographic topography will limit your FARs long before the power coming out of your radio limits your FARs. However, if you are connected to an external antenna, the cable that connects the radio to the antenna will leak RF electricities and they will fall out onto the ground. And the longer the cable, the more of those precious RF electricities fluids will fall out. So in a case like this, the more RF electricities will help. Anyway, let's see what this baby can do. On my favorite channel, GMRS 16, the radio is squirting just under 7 watts. Not quite the 10 watts we were promised. But what everyone wants to know is how many FARs does it talk and how does it sound from very far away? So to help me answer that question and to see if there's any difference in clarity using the 2 different antennas that come with the radio, I have enlisted the help of my friend Conrad, the chef, at his house 13 miles away. Conrad is listening on his base station radio with a large antenna on the roof, whilst I used this very radio to call him from right here in my studio, direct radio to radio, no repeater. And this is how the radio sounded using each of the 2 antennas on Conrad the chef's end from 13 miles away with fair line of sight between us.
Chef Pro, do you copy on the small stock antenna that came with this TidRadio TD-H9 handheld HD GMRS walkie-talkie? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chef Pro, how do I sound on the
The sound that you heard at the beginning of each transmission was my APRS location data being sent. You can disable that, but I left it on because it sounds so cool, and hams radio operators love to hear it. Both antennas sounded very similar to my ear, but one did sound a tiny bit better than the other. Leave a comment and let me and everyone else know which antenna you think sounded better. So if you are looking for a fairly low-cost, unlockable radio that can listen to almost anything and transmit on almost any frequencies you want and can do a bunch of stuff that most other radios cannot do, then the TidRadio TD-H9 might just be the radio for you.